Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed. Today, we're joined by Alisa from Operation Christmas Child, a project that delivers Shoebox filled with toys and essential for children in need across the globe. She will be sharing the impact that the toy donation have on these children, especially in those in the remote and underserved community. And we'll also learn more about how the companies and individual can also contribute to this life-changing mission of theirs. Thank you so much for joining our podcast episode today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Can you start out by sharing with our audience a little bit more about Operation Christmas Child and how they got started and how this whole thing worked?
Yeah, absolutely. So Operation Christmas Child is part of the ministry Samaritan's Purse. And Samaritan's Purse has been around for over 50 years. And the whole goal is to provide aid, care to those of war and famine all over the world. So when you have wars, when you have natural disasters that come in, they come in with field hospitals and convoys of food and all of that that's needed, doctors, shelter. And Operation Christmas Child is a part of that. And we were started about 30 years ago when a gentleman in England contacted our CEO, Franklin Graham, and said, can you fill shoeboxes of gifts for children here that are underprivileged, that are desperate for something, whether it's hope or joy, something. And so that first year, 30 years ago, they gathered local partners and packed almost 30,000 shoeboxes of gifts. And then from that, I know, just in a few short weeks and months, they came from Canada and America. And after that, they said, if we can do this in just a few short months, imagine what we can do if we have a whole year to plan. So over the last 30 years, we have packed over 220 million shoeboxes and distributed them in over 170 countries to unreached people, groups of children that are living in orphanages and underprivileged, and children that have never received a shoebox before or never received a gift, to that matter, of anything, toys, anything before. It's been an incredible growth that we have seen over the last 30 years, and all just to provide love and hope to children.
That is a lot of shoeboxes.
A lot of shoeboxes. That's almost 12 million a year right now.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, operationally, how do you sustain that many? Like, you have a lot of big facility, I believe.
We do. Yeah, we have. So I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and this is our biggest processing center, but we actually have 8 processing centers across the United States, California, Texas, Baltimore, Atlanta, Chicago, and we have in November what we call National Collection Week. So people that have been packing shoeboxes all year long, volunteers. We have hundreds of thousands of volunteers that are packing shoeboxes all year long and collecting them in their house and their church. And then during our National Collection Week in November, they bring all their shoeboxes and drop them off at pickup spots. And those are oftentimes churches, or we have partnerships with Chick-fil-A's. And all those shoeboxes are loaded into trucks and brought into our 8 distribution centers, where they are processed in the month of December and then loaded up onto our containers ready to be shipped out internationally.
That's incredible. What would you say what are some of the major impact of those toy donation on the child in the underprivileged or remote area?
Yeah. And like you said, underprivileged remote areas. So we have over 80,000 international volunteers across the world. And we have field offices, and they are literally searching in their unreached areas for children that have never seen another human before, that have never heard the gospel before. And everything that we're doing is we want to bring these children not only a gift box, but we want to bring them hope and joy and love, and let them know they are loved by God and that there is a plan for their life, that they're not just here. A lot of times these children are living in orphanages, or they don't have shoes, they don't have drinking water. And so these shoe boxes full of gifts, I have an example here.
Yeah.
This is an example of what a shoebox looks like.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
so just loaded full of gifts,
Yeah.
a soccer ball. A lot of
Okay.
these children love sports equipment. So a soccer ball
Yeah.
with a pump and plush toys that they can squeeze and love on. Any size plush toy that can fit in a shoebox. School supplies, crayons, notebooks, colored pencils, t-shirts, clothes. So you imagine being a child that has never received a gift before, never received a toy. And you guys are toy makers, creators. You
Yes.
make toys to bring joy and to give children something to let their brains work and function, build creativity. Imagine being a child that's never received any of that before, that's never seen a toy before. And
Yeah.
suddenly they have a fidget spinner. They have a plush that they can squeeze and hold on to. They have something that they can interact and build and play and interact with their friends, a soccer ball that they can suddenly play. The joy that brings a child and the way that they suddenly feel loved and seen. And that's what we're doing. We're doing it in the name of Jesus. And it's to bring the gospel to these unreached people groups and just to let these children know that they're loved. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. That really does have a very big impact for the children. That sounds. And how do you determine what toys to include and what not to include when you can only fit so much toys
Right.
in the shoebox, right?
Yeah. So obviously, a standard shoebox is about 12 inches. We make sure that the toys can fit inside the shoebox. And we don't want to have a toy that's so big that it takes up the whole shoebox. We want the shoeboxes to be fun and filled to the top. So when we have donors that have items to donate, we want to make sure it's not breakable, first of all, because it does have to travel internationally and sit in containers, and that it doesn't have liquid. We are constantly working with our international teams that work with customs to say, what are the different rules? What are some of the basic things that can go in and out? So we cannot take candy or liquids, even bars of soaps. A lot of our countries won't let us send soap in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And anything liquid, toothpaste, we can't send toothpaste in. So we try to make sure that we send the most basic things that customs will not flag and turn away, but at the same time fits inside of a shoebox. So that shoebox is loaded full. So making sure it's the right size, making sure that it's something that it would bring a child joy. So that could be personal hygiene items, toys, school supplies, cars, but things that take up space, a good amount of space that kids can play with, that can fit in the shoebox is what we're looking for.
I see. And you mentioned a number which is mind-blowing. How many shoeboxes are you doing a year? 12 million, which is a lot. What are some challenges that you face when you are gathering that amount of toys and distributing them across the world?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my role as corporate relations is to work with companies like toy companies that have surplus inventory every year that they need to clear out of their warehouse. And so for me, my goal every year is to locate 2,000 pallets full of toys that can be used as filler items in our shoeboxes. And so every year, that's our goal because we have, 12 million shoeboxes is a lot of shoeboxes. And so when those come into our processing center, if they're not full, and again, these are volunteers packing these shoeboxes and then bringing them to us. So when we receive that shoebox, if it does have something dangerous inside or something that we cannot take or use, one of the things I didn't mention is a war color or an army guy, war guys, anything political. We can't take any of that because it would get flagged through customs. And a lot of our dangerous countries don't want children receiving those things. It would be a danger to the child to receive like a gun or something like that, a toy gun. So we make sure when all those shoeboxes come in that they're full of things that can go through customs. And if they're not, and we have to take an item out, we want to seal the item. And that's why we need 2,000 pallets of donated toys and inventory that we can put in these shoeboxes every year. So that's a big challenge, is making sure that companies can donate those items to us year over year and that we have enough good quality items. Sometimes companies call me and they say, hey, I've got a really great item, but it might be too big or it might be breakable or something we can't take. So it's always tricky finding the right amount of items and the right size of items.
Do you have any memorable story of how the toy donation actually changed like a child's life that you could share with the audience?
Oh, so many. So a couple stories I'll tell you. There was an orphanage where a child, I believe it was in Russia, and this child was just wanting a family to belong to so badly. And the volunteers were bringing the shoeboxes in, and they oftentimes ask these children, what is it that you would like to see in your gift box? And the boy said, a family. And of course, that would be so difficult, right? You can't just put a family and connect that. However, the amazing thing is that volunteer that packed that shoebox put lots of great toys in there, and then put a picture of themselves in that shoebox. And through communication channels and volunteers, they were able to get that story back to the family that packed that shoebox with a picture of themselves. And that family ended up coming over and adopting that child back to America to live with them, all because he had the shoebox with their family's picture in it. I have another great story of one of our public speakers. So a lot of our shoebox, a lot of the children that receive these shoeboxes, it may be the only gift box they ever receive in their entire life. And that can be life-changing for them because one of our spokespersons' name is Alex. And we have about 80 spokespeople across the world that received a shoebox as a child, grew up, and said, this changed my life so much. I want to work for Operation Christmas Child, and I want to be a spokesperson and share my story with everybody else so that they know the impact it had. And Alex was in the Rwandan genocide. His whole family had been killed. He was escaping gunmen, constantly hiding, finally got out and was able to run and escape and get to a town that had an orphanage where they were able to take him in. And he lived in the orphanage for several years. And after his first year of being there, Operation Christmas Child came through and gave gift boxes to the children in that orphanage. And here Alex was, this child who had lost all of his family, lost everything, who had escaped genocide. And he received this shoebox, and it was the first time that he ever heard that there was a purpose for his life and that he was loved. And he was given toys and a gift of his own. And that gave him purpose. That gave him a reason to push hard and to try to go to school and go to college. And he was eventually able to travel to America. And he now lives here in America and is a spokesperson. So many stories of these children. Those are big stories, right? But then there's little stories too of a child that there's another story that I could tell you of 3 children just this summer that were in an orphanage that had no names, no families, no birthdays. They had no identity at all. And they got a shoebox and they got toys, and the volunteers were able to give them names and give them a sense of belonging in who they are and give them a sense of purpose. So many stories like that of just children, millions of children every year that get a shoebox that just have no purpose, have no hope. And this just gives them, they feel that sense of love and hope.
Yeah, I think some of us that live in the Western world, we take a lot of things for granted.
Yeah.
It's almost excess. Sometimes we live in a little bit of excess with all the gift that we give to our own children, especially in the United States and other Western countries. And with all the story that you share, that really give people more perspective of how we should be more grateful for what we currently have. And I think for the toy company that's listening to today's episode, how can they also participate? What are some of the criteria? I think you mentioned a few earlier, but if they also have some excess inventory that they would love to participate in your foundation's mission, what is the next step?
Yeah. And just for companies to know, we take imperfect items or returns, things like that. So we have companies that will call us and say, I have an old logo or an old name, or something was printed incorrectly and I can't use it. So I can't sell it anymore. Or I have a bunch of product that was returned that I can't sell anymore. We can take all of that as long as it's new. So if a company wants to get involved, there's lots of ways they can get involved. First of all, on our website, there's a gift in kind page that I have, and that goes straight to me. And there's a form that a corporation can fill out to say, I have extra inventory, and we pick it up free of charge anytime during the year, anywhere in the country, in the United States, and we will go pick it up. We'll bring it back to our warehouse, we'll process it, and we'll give a tax deduction letter within 2 weeks. So that is really a great partnership, because oftentimes companies have too much inventory that they don't know what to do with. And whether it's a couple boxes or whether it's truckloads of inventory, we can take it and we can use it as long as it fits in the shoebox. And another way is just to email me, and just emailing me and saying, hey, I've got items to donate, I'm ready. And then we start that process of what is the details on that donation. And I just collect pallet sizes or box sizes, height and weight, and location information. And then we can get that ball rolling. And oftentimes we can have it picked up within a few days and out of their warehouse. Another way is we have a lot of partners that want to get their staff involved and they want to feel part of this. We have great content, video content, social media content, all of that, where they can show their staff a video. Hey, we're donating product to this company and here's what they're doing with it. Here's what these children are receiving these gifts, what it's like for them and what it feels like for them. And you can watch the videos and just see joy radiating on these children's smiles in their faces as they open the shoeboxes. And so they can pack shoe boxes in their office. We have a lot of companies that will do an office packing party, and they'll get a bunch of shoe boxes and they'll take some of their inventory and people will bring in other items and they'll pack their own shoe boxes. And then a third way is they can come in process shoe boxes with us in December and volunteer alongside of our volunteers and our staff. And I have lots of partners that do that, and they'll bring some of their staff. They'll wear their shirts for their companies. They'll take their own video content to put on social media, and they will help us get the shoebox, open it up, check things, put some filler item in, and then send it down the line and load it up onto our cartons and into our trucks. And so those are great ways that people can get involved. And then, of course, just sharing who we are to others. I have a lot of partners, toy companies, that will tell their friends, their other toy companies, hey, have you heard of Operation Christmas Child? If you have extra inventory, they're a great place to send it and they can pick it up free of charge. So spreading the word and praying for us and praying for our operation, because obviously, like you said, 12 million shoe boxes a year is quite a bit. So
it's a lot,
Yep.
For sure. And one particular area I'm especially passionate about is really children with special needs, because that's what my own toys brand is all about. What role does some of your toy that you are sending out to Operation Christmas Child that also help children with special needs across the world?
So believe it or not, an unreached people group that people have not identified that we're reaching out to is children with special needs. And whether that's blind or deaf or children that are wheelchair bound, many of these countries that are living in poverty, when a parent has a child with special needs, they cannot take care of that child. They don't have the resources or the means, the medication, the doctors, any of that. And so there are homes that we have partnered with across the world that take in children with special needs. And many of these children are wheelchair bound. They don't speak. They can't walk. And there's people that take care of them. And so we have partnered with a lot of those. And I just watched a video this summer of it's a group that we can't share on our social medias. So unfortunately, we can't see it. But there were children that were wheelchair bound and they had special boxes of items. And this video showed this box coming in and being placed in front of a child, and a volunteer came over and helped them to open their shoebox. And there was a doll inside, a plush doll. And this girl, they just brought the doll and she just took it up to her head and she just was crying and giggling and laughing and just snuggling this doll. And so many of those children have never received a gift. Again, they are struggling to survive, to be alive. And I know you create toys for kids with autism and ADHD, and I have a child that has ADHD, and I have a former teacher. And so I've worked with children with special needs, and just to be able to give them something special and unique for them, they feel special and that they feel loved is really important to us. And so we are identifying the blind, the deaf, and the special needs children, and we're making sure that they get the gospel, and we're making sure that they get their own shoe boxes that are special for them.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's very heartbreaking for me as well, is a lot of the country, even in a lot of the Asian country where, I used to live in Japan, like I shared with you before the interview. Even in Japan, there's still a lot of stigma around like special needs and disabilities, even especially for invisible disability like autism and ADHD, because it's hard to know. And that's a cultural stigma of people try to hide it behind the curtain or hide it under the table and refuse to talk about it. That lead to lack of resources, opportunity, and even support and therapy for a lot of those children that still need a lot of the help for them to be successful in their life, so to speak. And I think part of your mission and our mission is similar. We're all trying to empower, support, and educate kids with different means. We have a similar goal as far as how can we create a better world for all the children in the future generation. So looking forward, what are some of the project that Operation Christmas Children is working on into 2025 and beyond? Yeah.
Like we said, we have unreached people groups that we are working to identify, and we have a goal that we want to reach every single unreached people group that there is across the world. And we're doing that through over 80,000 volunteers worldwide and field offices that we have. Like I said earlier, continuing to pack more and more shoe boxes. So getting to 12 million shoe boxes this year and continuing on further than that. It takes all of us. It takes all the volunteers and all of the toy companies that have things to donate. And then for me personally, like I said, trying to secure donation of 2,000 plus pallets a year of donated goods. And that number, so every year those numbers continue to grow. The number of volunteers, our goals are the number of volunteers continuing to grow, the number of shoe boxes we pack continuing to grow. But ultimately, it's to reach every unreached people group and child there is across the world, because we never give a shoebox to the same person twice. Those are pretty lofty goals, but we do it all in the name of Jesus, and we couldn't do it without the support of prayer and partners and volunteers and everybody that's out there and toy companies.
So how are you currently outreaching to toy companies right now? Do you go to trade shows, or do you just like directly contact them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I do attend as many trade shows as possible. I met you at Astra this year in St. Louis. And so attending those trade shows and walking around and just networking and sharing who we are and what we're doing. And a lot of times our toy companies there will say, oh my gosh, yes, I have old inventory that I can't use anymore, or I have liquidations and whatever is not sold. So really trying to help. We want to help the toy companies as much as they're helping us. It's a mutual partnership and relationship. So that's one way. I use LinkedIn a lot. So LinkedIn's been great for me to network and communicate with companies that are out there. We have a database of partners that we have met and talked to over the last 30 years. So reaching out to them through newsletters and emails and phone calls. I love to personally visit our partners as well and show them pictures and stories of how their product personally impacted a child, if I can. Yeah, things like that.
You remind me of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I don't know if you're familiar with that foundation.
Yeah.
One of my daughter was a cancer survivor, and she was also part of the Make-A-Wish program, and they also did a lot of great things for my daughter. So I think that's something that's very similar. Yeah. They also have a lot of wonderful work they do as a foundation themselves. And you currently also partner with other foundations as well?
Yeah, we do. We have other foundations that we partner with. Many other foundations, like we are doing humanitarian aid or providing care for children and others. And oftentimes, if some of our partners get donated items that they can't use, they will contact their other foundation partners. If we get donated items that we can't use, we partner up with other foundations and we share those gift in kinds. So if a partner has product and pallets of inventory that they send us, if there's things that we can't use, we don't purge it. We redonate it with our other partner foundations as well. And like Bombas is a great foundation that they donate socks to people that are helping to fight homelessness and poverty. So we have other partners like that will donate inventory to us as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So how can people find you online?
We are on all social media channels, and I'm on LinkedIn. So personally, Alyssa Van Bacter on LinkedIn. Our Samaritan's Purse has Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn as well. And then Operation Christmas Child has LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm sorry, not LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And so you can find us on all of those. And then our website, which is SamaritansPurse.org. We have an Operation Christmas Child page on there with lots of information, and they can find us on that as well and reach out.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll make sure we also include that to the show note of today's episode. But for our listeners, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We really hope you enjoy the conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support, and we really love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and coworker. For more resource, tips, and the latest update in the toys and game industry, visit our website at toy-launch.com and join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag ToyBusinessUnboxed. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, and keeping bringing joy to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode.